Some time ago in New Albany, while I was standing there talking to a sinner, leading him to Christ, a big old rough-handed man in the garage. A man was a friend of mine. His son-in-law run the garage next door. I was standing there preaching at a dinner hour, eating a sandwich and talking to him about God. Through the daytime, I'd find somewhere where I'd go at dinner time and try to win his soul to Christ. He said, Mr. Branham, he said, I'm just a boy preacher myself. He said, Mr. Branham said, my mother had that kind of religion, that heartfelt religion. And the tears was running down his cheeks. I said, how long she been gone? He said, years. She always prayed for me. I said, the God that heard her prayers is trying to answer them right now for her. And this man walked in there. He said, Ella was drunk. Said, hey, Billy, listen, said, any time you want to come over my garage, said, you come, but said, don't bring that old holy roller religion of yours over there. I turned and looked at him. I said, anywhere Christ is not welcome, I'll not be. And so he turned around and said, oh, get next to yourself, boy. Now I just heard in my heart a voice say, you reap what you sow. It'd be better for you that a millstone was hanged at your neck and drowned in the depths of the sea. And his own son-in-law that very same afternoon run over him with a 2-ton Chevrolet truck loaded down and mashed him down to the ground. See, you've got to respect God. You've got to do, God demands respect. And He demands it. And so Miriam ought to know better. So ought the Aaron to know better than knowing this, that Moses was led by the Spirit of God to do what he was going to do. Baptist minister wrote me a letter a couple days ago. I'm up here, oh, if he didn't rate me where he goes. He said, a guy that's as lazy as you are, a ministry that would be equal to Elijah the prophets, he said. And then to see you sitting around home doing nothing. So Billy is acting as secretary at the time. He wrote him a letter back. And then he thought, well, I believe I'll just answer him. He said, but he thought he better let me read it before he answered him. But it had a lot of diplomacy in it. He said, now this is not my dad, this is me. Said, you just said that Daddy had a ministry like that of Elijah. And said, you said he sat out on a creek bank somewhere with a fishing pole in his hand or up in the mountains with a rifle in his hand. Said, what would you say about Elisha when he sat 3 years by the side of the brook? Said, don't you know that they're led by the Spirit of God to do what they're doing? See, everybody wants to run it their own way. But man must be led by the Spirit of God, and we must give it respect. That's all. You're the other day a precious soul. You're in the city, seen another brother. He said, where's Bill at? He said, he's gone up in Canada. He said, I guess going to hunting. He said, yes, he's going to hunt. He said, oh, nonsense, just that stuff. All right. That man not knowing that I was under the power of the Holy Spirit by a vision of thus saith the Lord to go.
Hallelujah. All right.
What would you do at the day of the judgment? What good would it do to me go to the bedside of that man and pray for him? The first place, he doesn't believe me. And people, when they come around and say these things, like I don't know it, they don't believe it. So they pat you on the back and call you brother. Yet you know they don't believe it. See? They don't believe it, and you can have not one thing you can do for them. They'll call for you to come pray, but it doesn't do any good. Because you see, they disrespect it. You've got to believe it. Watch those who really believe and watch what happens. See? You've got to respect it. Jezebel, in the days of Elijah, how she disrespected Elijah. Elijah was actually her pastor. Sure. Oh, she would receive that. Goodness knows, she was an atheist or an infidel or idol worshiper. And she had her own pagan priest. But yet, Elijah was her pastor.
Amen.
God sent him there to be pastor.
Amen.
He was pastor with, if he did bawl her out and tell her all of her sins, yet he was her pastor.
Amen.
She wouldn't receive it at all, and she disrespected him. She hated him. Sure she did. What happened to her? God let the dogs eat her in the street. That's right. Because what? She disrespected the message that Elijah was preaching.
Amen.
God demands respect. You've got to have it. If you ever get anything from God, you're going to respect God. And you must do it from your heart. The bottom of your heart, you must do it.
Amen.
But she disrespected God. She disrespected His prophet. Now she knows Elijah was a prophet. They didn't have anything that Israel could keep up with Elijah. Why, his visions and everything was perfect before God. But he condemned them. Mercy, yes. He did on every denomination, everything else, and everything is called sin. He condemned it from the least to the greatest.
Amen.
King and all. He didn't pull any punches for none of them.
All right.
But they had to know he was a prophet. They just couldn't keep from knowing that. Yes, sir. Even Ahab tried to accuse him for the drought. And he did pray God to send the drought. Yes, he did. And he said, I have power and I will close the heavens. It'll not even rain or dew won't fall till I call for it.
Amen.
Could you imagine that little Jezebel with that painted up face stomping up down that floor? That old hypocrite, causing all these little children out here to suffer and all like that. Elijah was trying to bring them back to God, trying to win a nation back to God.
Amen.
See? It looked like she could tell the people, and you mean to tell me you'd believe on a man like that would close the lands up like this and not even rain or dew, and all of his hypocrisy or his witchcraft out there, whatever she wanted to call it, and he's nothing but just a witch or a soothsayer or something. He's closed the heavens and it won't rain, making all these people suffer, and you say then that's the will of God? It was the will of God.
Amen.
No matter what. See, you must look at what, you must respect God regardless of what He does. He knows what He's doing.
Amen.
Did look bad. Children suffering, people suffering, cattle dying, sheep dying, no water nowhere. The nights was hot and sultry. The sun was as bright as brass in the skies through the daytime for 3 years and 6 months. Elijah sitting up on the mountain said, not even dew will fall till I call for him. Right. Oh, how they hated him. And when Ahab found him, he said, you're the one that's troubling Israel, are you? Old Elijah looked back in his face and said, nay, not me, but you're the one that's troubling Israel. That's right. See, even Ahab didn't have respect for him. You know what Elijah told Ahab? Said, because you shed the innocent blood of Naboth, so the dogs will lick your blood too in the street. And they did.
Amen.
Because they disrespected God's messenger. That's exactly right. They disrespected it. Now, Miriam disrespected it. Aaron disrespected it. No matter who you are, Christian or not Christian, you've got to still bring respects to God and respect what He's doing. Or suffer the consequence. It's either receive it or go into judgment. Either one you want to. How I can stand with testimony for hour after hour of what I've seen in my lifetime, what I've seen in the other countries and other parts of the nations and so forth, the things that's taking place. But to omit that, just so that you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to say to you, you must respect it. I've seen young people sit in the meeting and snigger and laugh in the meeting, and less than 24 hours be crushed into the streets. I've seen young people sit in a meeting in 1 year when I was in a place, and next, maybe within 6 months, go back to the same place, and practically every one of them was gone or laying stricken somewhere with diseases and things. That's right, you have to respect it. I remember a certain young girl one night, Tennessee, when I was going out the door, preaching in a big Baptist church. I was going out the door. I felt led that night to call her to come to Christ. Well, she laughed in my face when I called her to come to Christ. She had to be one of the deacon's daughters. And standing at the door that night, she waited for me and I come out. She said, I want you to know something right now. Don't you never embarrass me like that again. I said, God was calling you. She said, nonsense. I'm young. So I got plenty of time for that. Said, my daddy's got enough religion for all of us at home. I said, not enough for you, sister. Everyone has to have their own religion. She said, if I want anybody to talk to me about that, I'll get somebody who's got some sense, not somebody like you. I said, go say what you wish to. It don't bother me. But someday you'll regret it. Not long after that, passed through the same city. Here she come down the street with her underskirts hanging down, slopping with a cigarette in her hand, and offered me a drink of whiskey. Same thing. Here's her testimony. She said, you remember the night you called there? I said, that was the truth. She said, the Spirit of God was testifying to me that night, trying to get me to come. And said, since then I could see my mother's soul frying hell like a pancake and laugh at it. That's what happened. See? You've got to respect God. That's all. You've got to do it, brother. That's all. Jezebel disrespected it. And remember another time, there's some irreverent children that had been raised up in a home. Elijah, after his days, of course, the people hated him because he called that famine in the land. There were some people that taught their children that Elijah, a man like that, being translated and taken into heaven, he got killed somewhere and they just buried him and hid him. They didn't believe it. So Elisha took his place. Now he was the messenger of the day now, after Elijah had been taken up. So he passed down through a certain city, and the children, little children of that city, run out making fun of him and said, "Say, you old bald head, why didn't you go up like Elijah did?" See, they didn't believe Elijah went up. There it is. It wasn't the disrespecting the man, it was disrespecting his message. Mm-hmm. He was the successor to Elijah.
Amen.
To Elijah. He had the anointing, the spirit of Elijah was up on him. He went right up there and done the very same things that Elijah did.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Jesus said, "He that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also."
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yes. These signs shall follow them that believe. They disrespected it. And they disrespected Elijah because he believed in Elisha. Because the Spirit was upon him and he turned around and smoked the Jordan with his mantle and opened up the Jordan. Went up and done the same kind of miracles that Elijah did. And even all the preachers up at the school of prophets said the Spirit of Elijah rests upon Elisha. The noise abroad in the country. And the people, I bet they laughed around and said, "Look at this thing. That bunch of holy rollers, fanatics, saying that man went to heaven without dying. Horses come down." We didn't see any. Certainly they didn't. Certainly not. They didn't. We didn't see any horses. We didn't hear any chariots anywhere. Nonsense. The old fellow died and they buried him, and then they're trying to make a lot of to-do over it. Just like they say today, the same thing. Like they said about Jesus. They said, "Why they come and stole his body at night time?" They even paid soldiers to testify that. But he raised from the dead. And Elijah was tucked up in a chariot of fire with horses of fire. And when this young prophet walked along there, going down through the city, and he lost his hair as a young man, he was going down, so these little children run behind him and said, "Hey, why didn't you go up with Elijah?" Said, "You old bald head, you." See? And they were given disrespect. And what did Elijah do? He turned in the power of the Spirit and cursed those children. What happened? 2 she-bears come from the woods and killed 42 of them. Right. Disrespect, irreverent. You can't do that. You've got to respect God. If any of them kids had said, now, if their father or mother had said, "Now look, children, they say that Elijah was taken up." Now, we don't know about that, but anyhow, I don't know whether it's so or not, but I'll tell you, the best thing to do is just don't say nothing about it. Just go ahead. When he passes, we hear he's coming down through the city today. He's going to have a street meeting up there. If he does, if you children on the road to school today meet, you say, "How do you do, Reverend? How do you do, sir?" Or something like that. Speak to him. But instead of that, no doubt they've been told at home. Oh, I heard Papa and Mama sit at the table and laugh, and one other said, "What do you know? They said that old holy roller was taken up." Did you ever believe anything like that? And they say this little old bald-headed fellow, just as bald-headed as a pumpkin up there, ain't over about 35 years old, and here he's coming down through there today. You go to Homer Street and you expect us to believe such nonsense as that. Why, isn't nothing but a little, or just a mockery, that's all it is. Because he won't come to our churches. He's just like Elijah was. He won't come to our churches. He'll probably some kind of witchcraft, hoodoo hopes that he's got like Elijah. They didn't believe him. So the little children was taught that at home. If they'd been taught reverence and respect, they'd have walked out there before that prophet of God and asked for prayer for themselves. But they had been taught to snigger and laugh and to make fun. Not like the children of today. Well, too many of them today would make fun at a street meeting. They would make fun at the preaching of the gospel. So Elijah cursed them in the name of the Lord. Not because of the children, but because of the irreverent parents that had brought the children up that way.
That's right.
To disrespect God. 2 she-bears come out and kill 42 of them. Now that's irreverence. God demands respect. When they disrespected His prophet, they disrespected Him.
Amen.
No matter how much they didn't believe, they ought to kept their mouth shut. Stay away from it. But no, they had to put in their nickel's worth. They had to say something that they ought not have said. And what happened to them?